Prof. Tan Sri Dato' Zulkifli Abdul Razak, Rector of IUM, Deputy Rector, Professor Haji, Executive Directors, Senior Officials, staff, and students of Gombak, Kuantan, Gambang, and Pago campuses. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good evening. I'm trying not to be emotional tonight. I'm trying my best. A very good evening, I bid to everyone. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to be here with you, my own family, my IIUM family. I would like to thank the organizing committee for arranging this event tonight. It is indeed heartwarming to be standing here, to see familiar faces, as well as new faces in the audience. To new students who have joined in September, welcome to the university. And I hope that years to come would be interesting and exciting for you, inshallah. As the newly appointed and controversial of that appointment, President of IIUM, allow me first to take this moment to convey my deepest gratitude to our constitutional head, His Royal Highness Sultan Haji Ahmad Shah Al-Musta'in Billah Ibni Al-Marhum Sultan Abu Bakar Riayatuddin Al-Muazzam Shah, and to the Prime Minister of Malaysia, Yang Amat Berhormat Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, for their trust in me to undertake the roles and responsibilities of this office. Just until a few months ago, let me walk through the memory lane. Just until a few months ago, I had been serving as a lecturer in this university. For close to 20 years, this had been my second home. And sometimes it had been my first. Many of my memorable moments were made here, some of which are still vivid in my mind. The moment I step into this garden of knowledge and virtue again, I can't stop thinking of all those memories. How I used to jog around the campus and at IIUM Stadium. How I used to walk around holding a cup of coffee with jambu batu bought from Pakcik Bawah Tangga, crossing the Teh Tarik River and watching all those biawak, the lizards, and most of the new international students would call them small crocodiles. Just to look around and say hello to the students. How I still remember, each time I woke up in the morning, I keep thinking of going to HS Cafe, as I used for over nearly a decade. Breakfast there with my friends, Professor Haji, one of them, and others were a lot of faces, and students. Every morning before classes and meetings, sit with people, talk to people, listen to people, be it our academic staff, administration staff, students, and even the makcik cleaners. I enjoy spending with those I call my IIUM family, to listen to their stories and anecdotes, including the friendly makcik and kakak cleaners who has so many to share, and not to forget all the park guards and the drivers, and also all those people from all those stalls and kedai makan. They were all my friends, and they're still my friends, and they still reside deep beneath my heart. Essentially, this is what IIUM is all about. A big family. Students and staff members, be it academic, administrative or support, congregate here in Gombak, nestled amid lush and peaceful green surroundings. And let's not forget our Kuantan, Pagoh, and other campuses too, to be part of a greater academic entity. The family consists of different individuals with diverse backgrounds, cultures, ethnicities, and nationalities, truly united in diversity in every sense. This family is distinct from the other public institutions of higher learning in this country. And this is where IIUM strength lies. If you haven't the chance to read the book, The Prophet, peace be upon him, and Urbanization of Medina, written by our very own prominent professor, Associate Professor Dr. Spahik Umar. Is he around? Okay. He's my jogging partner anyway. I would like to suggest that you do. I find that some of his points are very interesting. If we look at the layout of Medina, especially the location of the Holy Prophet's Mosque, we can see that it is very central. This centrality is very symbolic because it represents the idea of unity. How everyone would converge at the mosque situated right in the heart of Medina. Now let's look at our Sultan Haji Ahmad Shah Mosque. It has different doors that we all can go through from various corners of the university. And yet, our destination is still the same, i.e., to be together. To be together and united under one roof of the mosque, which is at the heart of the campus. This is IIUM. IIUM was founded based on this spirit. The university's philosophy is built upon the belief that knowledge should be pursued as an ibadah, an amanah, which Allah SWT has placed upon mankind. IIUM integrates Islamic values and worldview into its humanities, scientific and technical curricula, as reflected in its slogan, the garden of virtue and knowledge. On top of knowledge, the university places great emphasis on good character as part of the education process to ensure that students achieve academic excellence as well as good ethical and moral values. As the Minister of Education, this is the spirit that I hope to inculcate within Malaysia's education too. The spirit of IIUM. Too long the focus had been on academic achievement alone, devoid of any strong emphasis on human values. Thus, the ministry has introduced a philosophy of values comprising love, mahabbah, happiness, sa'adah, and mutual respect, al-ihtiram al-mutabadal, which we are now imbuing into the system. We want to produce Malaysians who are equipped not only with knowledge and technical expertise, but also enriched with good personal character. In the past, when people ask me why I was so loyal to IIUM in spite of many offers to other universities, I had only one very cliché, sentimental answer to give. Normally, I replied them, because of IIUM students. But why students? Simply because I believe students are the key to this university's glory. With their keen sense of wanting to learn and to do something new, they keep IIUM vibrant and alive. For all the years I had been here, I found that students of IIUM dare to push boundaries and lead the culture of intellectual discourse, which is rarely found in other universities. Imagine the extent of their capabilities if restrictions and bureaucratic hurdles are taken down. And in this era of Malaysia Baharu, the new Malaysia, we will see this happen. As promised, the Pakatan Harapan government is committed to empowering students to stand up and speak up for the betterment of the society. I, for one, have always been a proponent of freedom of speech, particularly for university students, in which I was, not long ago, was a victim of once. But I never consider myself as a victim. I consider myself as a teacher to my students, whoever they are, wherever they are, whatever they have done to me. I am the father of my students. I believe that these young spirited minds have their own creativity, which should not be curtailed by archaic regulations. Thus, I am pleased to share that starting with IIUM, sweeping reforms are being introduced to give public university students more freedom in terms of expressing themselves. For one, legal provisions which bar students from being politically will be abolished. Since IIUM is not governed under the University and University College Act, famously known as AUKU, IIUM will be the first university to have its own branches or clubs of political parties on campus, paving the way for other universities to follow suit after the amendments to AUKU are made. In doing so, I will sit with the IIUM Board of Governors, Senate and Rector to amend rules that hinder students from political participation, provided that students preserve harmony, mutual respect, and never neglect their studies. Furthermore, as part of our move to recognize students as an integral stakeholders to IIUM, the university will appoint student representative to the Senate to sit alongside the management of university and share the aspirations of students with them. Too long have the students' voice been suppressed, but this will no longer be the case. In developed nations, students take more active role in ensuring that the management of universities are on track. They can voice out their opinions and views on issues such as academic policies and others that relate to them. This is what will happen here in Malaysia too. IIUM will take the lead, whereby its students can establish for the very first time in Malaysia modern history a student union where they can manage their own activities in a healthy manner. This is the new future of IIUM. IIUM is well known for producing world-class debaters. To further enhance the culture of dialogue and debate, the Garden of Knowledge and Virtue will host high-profile international and local speakers to engage in the exchange of ideas with students, similar to that hosted by Oxford Union. Hopefully, this would reflect my commitment to uplift intellectual freedom, which is the core of the existence of institutions of higher learning. After all, IIUM is the best place for a radical collision of ideas, differing thoughts and opinions. In the past, healthy discussions were done actively by students and staff on various topics, just informally in small clusters by the river and at the cafes such as the HS Square, which sometimes they were visited by the security and they experienced a sudden blackout and their names have been taken by the disciplinary unit. HS Square, which is an open space for intellectual debate, dialogue and intellectual discussion on areas such as philosophy, literature, linguistics, political science, economy, and even technical disciplines of architecture and engineering. This will continue to happen in legal way and legal means. IIUM will be an open intellectual space for all the students. As for the staff, I am pleased to say that the recent nomination exercise of deputy rectors has paved the way for university autonomy here in IIUM. Nomination of names were first done by staff through the Academic Staff Association, notoriously known as ASA. But now this notorious association has been recognized as part of the vital association in this university. And then from these, the names were considered and subsequently appointed, proof of adopting consultative approach in the appointment of office bearers. I hereby announce the appointment of our new deputy rectors. Do you have music? I hereby announce the appointment of Professor Dr. Ahmad Hafiz Zulkifli as the Deputy Rector of Research and Innovation. Is Prof. Hafiz around? He's from Kuantan. I believe he's standing now in Kuantan. And Professor Dr. Nur Farida Abdul Manaf as the Deputy Rector of Internationalization and Global Network. Please, Prof, give a round of applause to Prof. Nur Farida. And Professor Dr. Zulkifli Hassan from University Science Islam Malaysia as the Deputy Rector of Student Affairs and who is also the alumni of IIUM. But this is not all. This is not all. Another landmark move in bestowing more autonomy to IIUM. A more democratic process will be introduced in the appointment of academic posts such as Deans of the Kuliah. The deans will also be more empowered to hold a wider scope in decision making. Furthermore, in recognition of the diverse talents and expertise as well as potentials of our team of staff, be it academic, administrative or support, IIUM will engage with them in drawing their own KPIs. There will no longer be the practice of one-size-fits-all KPI. I always dream of this. Why didn't it happen when I was the lecturer, I was the staff here? It took me a student demonstration to make this happen. Aside from this, I'm keen to revisit staff benefits package to ensure that staff would enjoy a better welfare as part of the bigger IIUM family, especially among our administration staff. IIUM should be the incubator of the birth of local Muslims and local geniuses. When you talk about local as an adjective to its characterized by both local and global considerations, sociologist Roland Robertson once stated that globalization basically means the simultaneity, the co-presence of both universalizing and particularizing tendencies. Let me be a bit intellectual. This will revive the intellectual within me. Otherwise, I'll be just like another politician. And how do we go about achieving this? I believe we should go back to the drawing board by first knowing who we are. As Homo Islamicus, we should understand that our role as Khalifa, our life should be founded upon Tawheed, as what have been highlighted by esteemed thinker, Professor Ismail Raji Al-Faruqi. According to him, the life and death of a Muslim should have a basis on Tawheed as a guidance framework to his life journey as Allah's servant. By nature, a Homo Islamicus. Don't get your mind go into other homo. As a Homo Islamicus is an agent of change. We are born to carry out the mission of justice, peace, and reform in this world. Malik 2011. It was quoted from Malik 2011 thesis. Thus, don't worry, students, one day you will reach that understanding. It was quoted based on APA standard, yeah. Malik 2011, page 217. Oh, 216, sorry. Thus, the rise of public intellectuals. When we talk about public intellectuals, we mean the IIUM community taking the time and initiative to engage with the masses, not just through academic writing, but to go down from the ivory tower to the ground and to be with the grassroots, be with the people, be with the public. IIUM will take the lead as the model for a more humanistic approach towards our IIUM family to be more insania. Brothers and sisters, I miss these words a lot. They only exist in IIUM. Brothers and sisters. You know, being in politics and being a minister, sometimes you got tracked with all the protocols. You have to address people with their titles. And including me, people call me with title, which I didn't get used to it at the first time, but now I got used to it. But here, you can address people with brothers and sisters. My brother, my sister. This is IIUM. Brothers and sisters, now let me turn to the students and ask. Tell me, what do you think your journey should begin with? For me, one's student journey starts with doubt and confusion. If you don't have doubt, you don't confuse, you never embark with your intellectual journey. A reflection of how a learning process should be about, seeking the answers to clear the confusion. No, I'm wrong. Seeking the answers to lead to more questions, not to clear the confusion, but to bring more confusion. Because once you feel that you're not confused anymore, you'll be satisfied. And you'll be stuck in your comfort zone. You never try to pursue more knowledge. You never try to go to the great unknown territory of knowledge. And you never push yourself beyond the boundaries. So seeking the answers will lead to more questions. That is the beginning of a journey to seek knowledge. And you might even discover it to be an infinite journey. As the saying goes, learning is a lifelong process. My own journey also has its own interesting story. I first met my supervisor, Professor Mehmet Asutay, of Turkish origin, who was once working with the president of Turkey during his postgraduate life, and then he migrated to the UK and became a professor of Islamic economy at Durham University. When I first met my supervisor at Durham University, Professor Mehmet, to pick on his brain on what to do with my doctorate topic, that was my very first meeting with him, I was very enthusiastic to know what kind of things I should do, how to embark with my research. This is the turning point of my life. How many thousand journal papers should I read? How many volumes of book should I read? To my surprise, he asked me to go back and read the novel The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. Have you read this book? Okay, I know academic stuff that you have read. What about students? Have you read this book, The Alchemist? Okay, go to Kinokuniya. I'm not sure whether IUM bookshop sell Alchemist, but for sure if you sell it tomorrow, you get a lot of people trying to buy it. Do you know what is so interesting with this book, with this novel, The Alchemist? After my supervisor suggested to me this book, it left me wondering why I was asked to read a novel instead of academic publications. I still remember, I was thinking, am I having a crazy professor with me? A mad professor? But after reading the book, it dawned upon me that this book is not substantially about my PhD, but instead, it gave me insightful lessons to the meaning of life. And it left a significant impact on my journey. My advice to all the students, please read the novel Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. What I wish to stress here, that it is important to understand that reading helps to widen one's horizon of thought. Reading helps one to answer the question of why, and then it leads to the answers of the question of how. And furthermore, it will push you to think of so what and what is not. If you are confused, read. If you are sad, read. If you are happy, read. Even if you are angry, read. If you are depressed, read. If you are lonely, read. If you fall in love, read books and not your love letters. Are they still exist in this digital world? I think it was only during the period of Tan Sri and Professor Ji and all the academic stuff. But for students, you may ask your parents, do they still keep their love letters? But please don't tell them it was the question that you pick up from the Minister of Education. If you fall in love, read. If you are heartbroken, read. But not the Twitters and FB status. If you're hungry, read. Don't eat. Bismillah, Allahumma barik lana fima razaqtana, and eat your food. Read Bismillah lah kan. Bottom line, everything should start with reading. In fact, reading is integral in Islam as advocated by Quranic verse Iqra in Surah Al-Alaq. When I was promoting the culture of reading through Malaysia Membaca campaign, #Malaysia Membaca, I was asked about how people can get lost because of being a bibliobule. Bibliobule? I don't know how to pronounce it correctly. Prof. Farida, how to pronounce it? Bibliobule? No, not bibliophile. That's different kind of thing, Tansri. Bibliobule, one who reads too much. This is only because they do not consider the last verse, which is the 19th verse, which speaks about prostration and being close to Allah. Indeed, there is a strong correlation between reading, which is intellectual, and spiritual. But bear in mind that your reading should not be limited either. Your reading material should not be confined to only your interests. Read beyond that. Challenge yourself to read something which is not familiar to you. Push yourself to read something which you find very strange to you. Explore something new through reading. Personally, I read almost all genres from religion and faith to philosophy and Sufism, right up to politics. To be honest, I wish I have more time nowadays to read. The life of politicians, especially ministers, are crazy. People would be envy looking at me reading. They want to meeting me, telling me their grievances, asking me to officiate their events, and demonstrating in front of me, and inviting me to dinners, inviting me to lunch, and they would be very jealous of me reading. So I ended up, after nearly 5 months being a minister, of not reading, of not having finishing a single book. But anyway, I will try to find time to read. And I envy all of you to have plenty of time to read. Don't wait to be a minister to read. The biggest problem within Islamic intellectual discourse is dogmatism, which is the assumption of monopolizing the truth. Thus, students must fight your own urge to be trapped in dogmatism through reading. Never be satisfied. Never be complacent. Push yourself beyond your comfort zone. Brothers and sisters, I'm proud that RUM is a good example of a micro-civil society with movements by students on their own, without any direct funding and support from the university. The example of Student Soup Kitchen Project for the Poor. I laud them for this initiative. Is it still around? They're still around. A big round of applause for them. The Nasi Lemak Project. Another big applause for them. Is it still around, the Nasi Lemak Project? And a lot of other projects. Essentially, I believe that there should be more focus given in supporting people who need assistance the most. This is where I keep emphasizing on inclusivity, whether in education or in the higher learning institutions. I think people with special needs, the OKU, my students, my colleagues, you know that you always have a special place in my heart. And I will make sure, I'm not trying to abuse my power, but for you guys, I will abuse my power. I will make sure that the rector and the senate and the university administration will make IIUM a safe haven for OKUs. Not only that, I still remember when I was still a lecturer in this university, I was among the greatest opponents of those who are using their motorbikes on the pedestrian path. Nothing hurts me more than looking at our disabled staff and students have to go beside the road to pave the way to the motorbikes. This is insane. This is evil. This is haram. And it's very unfortunate, our khatib never talk about this in their khutbah, as if it is nothing in Islam. They keep talking about ikhtilat is haram, the aurat should be from here to there, which, yeah, we understood. But when you keep reiterating that, keep mentioning that, and neglecting all other part of humanities, and people started to consider, is Islam all about regulation and punishment and enforcement. Whereas a lot of good universal values in Islam that we seldomly share with others and we seldomly practice in our daily life. And not to forget, being an Islamic university, cleanliness is utmost important. I would like to see in these coming days, as I promised to my students, I always made jokes to them. If I'm becoming the Minister of Education, God replied my answer at my dua. No, God answered my joke with my students. There is something with IUM students. Maybe while they're listening, I'm joking, they say, Ameen, Ameen. So I blame my students for my situation now. But this is a responsibility. This is a time that I should make full use of my power. I want to make sure that IUM will be the friendliest university to environment. And please, Tan Sri Rector, and please Deputy Rectors, Senate members, and everybody, please turn IIUM into a green university. Starting by having the recycle or separate waste bins all around the campus. I would like to see that happening within the month of October. We must cultivate the culture of waste management. You know which, I know my students are laughing. The things that I always taught them. And all my rumblings inside the class is all about cleanliness, is all about being friendly to the environment and being eco-friendly towards the world. Let me take you on a journey far, far away with the story of Luke Skywalker of Star Wars film franchise. Do you know Luke Skywalker? Are you a big fan of Luke Skywalker or are you a big fan of Darth Vader? I'm sure many of you are familiar with Star Wars. But do bear with me as there is a personal reflection that I would like to share. The story of Luke Skywalker, which I like my students to be inspired with it. I'm becoming emotional. What is with Luke Skywalker? I'm becoming very emotional when I talk about Luke Skywalker. Luke began his life as a simple farmer on the planet of Tatooine. He began his life as nobody. A small farmer boy enjoying his daily life. But then he left the planet Tatooine to become a Padawan or a student under the tutelage of the Jedi Master Yoda, who was then nearly 1,000 years old. Luke Skywalker dared to take a big risk to leave his comfort zone with the intention to save the galaxy, to fight against the evil empire. He was only a normal person, a farmer boy without any special talent. He never got involved in any wars, in any battles. He doesn't know how to play with the lightsaber and how to conduct the weapons. He was just a normal farmer boy. But he took a very unconventional decision to leave his comfort zone and have a faith in his mission. He left Tatooine planet, ended up meeting a very old Jedi Master And something is with old people. When they're getting more older, they become wiser. And their words are very helpful and useful for younger people. So under the guidance of this Jedi Master Yoda, he learned his potential within. He learned the Jedi power within himself. Although he was very old to become a Jedi Master then, but he believed in himself. He believed nothing is impossible. He believed that he can change the world. He can change the fate of the galaxy. Even Yoda did not have faith in him and couldn't see his talent. But Luke Skywalker pushed himself beyond the boundaries. Finally, he emerged as the most powerful Jedi who defeated the evil empire and brought justice and balance back to the entire galaxy. The moral of this tale is simple. There is much significance that can be done by the insignificant. Do not ever think that you are one and therefore unable to make a difference on your own. Every one of us here is Luke Skywalker. Do not wait to make a difference. Be more proactive and please take risks. I was once a normal person like Luke Skywalker. But I couldn't bear myself looking at the corruptions that happening all around Malaysia. And I thought that I should participate in the creation of new history of the country. It was the biggest decision I've taken in my life. And what hurt me most is to leave this university. I still remember the day where Datuk Rahim assisted me to pave the way to exit from this university, though it was not easy, but he assisted me along the way. I know it was a very tough decision. Being in politics was never an option in my life. I still remember talking to some of our colleagues when they did ask me, why didn't I join politics? I told them, I'm not into partisan politics. I love being an intellectual, being an academic. I love my intellectual life. I can enjoy more freedom. But reflecting to the story of Luke Skywalker, I begin to decide that I need to leave the planet Tatooine of mine for a bigger cause, for the nation. So we participated in that battle against the evil empire, and we won the battle. And hence the Malaysia Baharu. Never dreamt to be Minister of Education. It was only jokes that I made in my class to my students and blamed them for their dua. But anyway, after being appointed as a Minister of Education, I began to realize there is a mission that I have to accomplish, which is to bring back the glory of my second home, to my own big family, to IIUM. I can see the huge potential of IIUM. This is not like other universities. This is a very unique university. It is an international university. It is an Islamic university. It is a Malaysian university. And it is a university for all humankind. The potential is there. It has been more than 30 years, but we are still at this position. So I vowed to myself, I need to do something to this university. So when I was appointed by our head of constitution to be the president of a university, by the advice of the Prime Minister, I feel that God replied my dua. I think it is my responsibility, it is my promise to myself that I will bring change to this university with the help of every single individual in this university. Be them the staff, be them the students, be them the academics, be them in the administration. I believe if we stand together, we work together, we unite together, we can bring the glory to IIUM. Hence turning IIUM into the Oxford of Muslim world. I told the second president of IIUM when I had a meeting with him, I told him I may not need a long time. My tenureship is only 3 years in this university. Time is not on my side, but within these 3 years, I have a strong faith in my own IIUM family. We can bring the glory to IIUM. He told me, no, you need more than 3 years. I told him, no, I only have 3 years. And I will work from that moment to make sure that IIUM will be the Oxford of Muslim world. Helen Keller once said, optimism is the faith that leads to achievement. And I trust that all of you knows who is Helen Keller. If you don't know, please Google her name. She was once said, optimism is the faith that leads to achievement. Nothing can be done without hope and confidence. Please have faith, and please have hope, and please have confidence in yourself. Please have confidence in the big family of IIUM. Reinstalling the optimism will be the most challenging for me and for everyone. When we sometimes losing the hope, drowned in agony with this miserable life that we are living, what will be the key to keep resisting is recalling back to the fundamental idea of the whatness or mahiyah of every existence, and not to forget the philosophical substance of this university. Before I end my speech, allow me to leave you with one pantun, with 2 rangkap pantun, and before that, with the words of Ralph Waldo Emerson for us to ponder on. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. Let me repeat his words again. Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path, but you leave a trail so people could follow you. Bunga dedap di atas para, anak dusun pasang pelita. Andai tersilap tutur bicara, jari disusun maaf dipinta. Tanam sirih dalam taman, gali lubang tepi perigi. Terima kasih keluarga IIUM sekalian. Lain kali kita bersua lagi. Terima kasih. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.